If you knew morning wood, then you know why I feel blue. Without morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, ooh, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Oh, how my heart yearns for you. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, ooh, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Pretty, 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 pretty morning wood. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, ooh, and I need you, morning wood. I love you, morning wood, with a love so rare and true. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Well, I love you, ooh, I want you, morning wood.
Rise and shine. Happy Devil's Tuesday. This is the late edition of the Morning Woo, coming to you live from an undisclosed location in New Brunswick, New Jersey, somewhere. Notice that I made it to work today. Anyway, with this snowstorm in the Northeast, in New Jersey, lots of accidents, a big accident on Route 78. Glad I bypassed that by getting up a little early and getting here, but sorry for the delay of the Morning Woo. I'm your host, Sam Woo, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, Twitch, and now on Instagram Live on the Let's Go Devils Network. See a lot of comments. It's almost like a brunch Morning Woo. You know, it's kind of like that mid-morning. It feels like the weekend right now. But seriously, sorry for the delay. I got out. I got up at 5:30 a.m. this morning. Got out of the door around 6:45 a.m. Got to work around 8:30 a.m. Traffic, not too bad in the a.m. Beat the storm. And then everybody started calling for me, so I couldn't do the Morning Woo. But now we're doing it. And, yeah, yesterday I felt that the officiating was terrible. The interpretation of the rules, I don't know if they read the rule book on some of this stuff that they were calling yesterday. Miles Wood taking Shimon Nemitz's stick, closed down his stick, held on to it like innocently, and then just threw it. No call there, which led to goal for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then I watched a lot of replay this morning. I'm not going to lie. I watched a lot of replay because the way I remembered it down at row 4, down at the glass, near the glass yesterday, and watching on video. Let's start with the Siegenthaler. The Siegenthaler game misconduct. You go back to the replay, and I wish I had the footage here. I'm allowed, the rights to do this, but you're gonna have to go with what I'm telling you. So I'm looking at the Siegenthaler footage. Number one, the referees, if you look at the whole footage with all the scrums going on, the referees completely lost control of the game. Completely lost control. And what I mean by that is I get it. Fights are going to happen, but it just seemed like they lost control. You had two referees that were zoned in on Cotter and I forgot who the other guy was near the bench. The other two just, why are you like, take control, like of what's going on? You're not paying attention. And what we saw with Siegenthaler here is, okay, the referees, there was a scrum, all that. It was kind of a free for all. Was there a third man in? There was a lot of pushing, shoving, not really fisticuffs. But it wasn't until Siegenthaler got in to kind of, I wouldn't say break it up, but just kind of support his teammates. His gloves were still on. And Fantilli, I don't know, took offense to it and dropped the gloves and started punching Siegenthaler. Not saying that Siegenthaler was kind of just pushing and shoving, but not bare knuckle fighting. And then after Siegenthaler takes a few punches, again, I listened to Ken Danico's commentary on that. He was taking a few punches, knowing that Brendan Dillon was down. You don't want to be down two defensemen, which eventually happened, which, cost the Devils the game. Siegenthaler had to engage at that point. And did he secure his fighting strap? Probably not, but if you read the rule book, and I'll read this, and I credit Nick Villano for pointing this out, Rule 46.13, we go to the last paragraph. A player who is involved in an altercation when the opponent has been identified as the instigator, which was Fantilli, in my opinion, shall not be assessed a game misconduct if his jersey should be removed by an opponent, which was Fantilli, or an official in the discharge of his duties, regardless of whether or not it was properly tied down. So it says shall not be assessed a game misconduct penalty. But again, is it my interpretations off? I'd like to hear, and I could be wrong, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what hockey is anymore. And happy Taco Tuesday to you, Durango Steve. Going out for tacos later in this storm. Apparently, they're the greatest tacos in New Brunswick. I'll be the judge of that, and I'll give you a report on that. Yeah, and Pie Legend says, it's serious when Wu breaks out the official rulebook. I can't take credit for that. That goes to Nick Villano at pucksandpitchforks.com. I mean, sometimes you have to be a lawyer in the stands to understand, this convoluted rulebook of the NHL. First off, these four refs sucked last night. Okay, I don't know what they were looking at. They lost complete control of the asylum, and going back to Brendan Dillon to finish my thoughts on that again after looking at the replay over and over and over this morning. Again, the optics just don't look good. They don't look good. I know Sheldon Keefe said in the press conference he's not happy about it. He's definitely not happy about it, and again, this has been going on for a long time in the National Hockey League about fighting. There used to be an unwritten code. There was unwritten code amongst even the best fighters. It was called respect. Bare knuckle fighting has been banned in North America since the early 1900s, I believe, or maybe even before that. And but except for hockey, for whatever reason. And you want to talk about player safety. I mean, if you're going to get into a fight, I mean, the rules have changed over the years. You must keep your helmet on. If you remember, Andreas Janssen takes his helmet off. I mean, it used to be if you're going to get in a fight, okay, take my helmet off, take my gloves off, okay, then we go. But in this case, in both instances, with Fantilli punching Siegenthaler and Dillon getting smashed by that Russian, Forgot how to pronounce his name. Sorry. But both times, if you notice, their gloves were not off. Either they were slow to react or they just never had a chance. I don't think really. I mean, Siegenthaler's lucky there, but I don't think Dylan even had a chance. I agree with Sheldon Keefe that I don't think Dylan had any intentions of fighting. Pushing and shoving is not fighting. Like when you get a fighting major, it's gloves off, and you go. And so again, even the video replay. Okay, the goal was called on the ice. Now your replay, the challenge came. You're suggesting that the Columbus is suggesting that the goalie was interfered with. Okay, a goalie interfered with, but remember, it has to be like 100% conclusive. There was no explanation other than the goalie was interfered with. So, if there's no explanation, tell me the conclusive evidence by video. Where was that interference? It was, I'm not going to lie to you, it was a gray area. But from what I saw Merzlikins grabbing Nason's stick and saying he was interfered with. That's what I saw. I don't know if you saw the same thing as well. Roman says, why do you think our games are turning into street fights? Detroit was the roughest game in a while. Last night wasn't even hockey. Well, there was a period of time where fighting was more emphasized of skill and speed, but it's a copycat league because the Florida Panthers really laid out the blueprint of beefolitics, where it will take over a game. Because I remember early on in this podcast, a lot of naysayers would say, "Oh, Sam Wu, that game was yesteryear. That's not today's NHL." There's always going to be emotion in the NHL. You just do not want to take that out of the players. And Merzlikins as well was chopping Devils players whenever he could and getting away with it too. And that's fine as long as Jake Allen was able to get away with it. Joey B, the real lad, says, I'm impressed that Sam can wear a Devil's cap at the office. You know what? Here's a life lesson to you. Just do whatever you want. If they don't like it, so be it. Fire me, Anyway, just be comfortable in your own environment. And that's what I say. I have no shame. Let's see here. Selected Boy says, Nason was shoved into Merzlikins. Yeah. Again, okay, you're going to say, if they have to do this with this video replay, they need to not only say, if you're going to overturn a call, I want to know why. Why and how. Okay, why? Oh, because he interfered. How did he interfere? Explain it to me. They got to do something like that. But, the NHL won't do that because it's the good old boys club. They do things, like the Devils getting in trouble for wearing the Dilly hats, apparently. Reported by Ryan Novozinski, good friend of the podcast, and then also James Nichols as well, of New Jersey Hockey Now, or is it called Sports Now? I don't know what it's called now, but okay, isn't it already punishable enough that Dylan on the 1000th game got hurt? And okay, you wear your hat. I get it, but again, the National Hockey League is run by a bunch of lawyers. Let's be honest here. They're run by a bunch of corporate lawyers. Gary Bettman, Bill Daly. I think they're very smart people. I like a lot of things they do, but I think sometimes they take the human element out of the game and they think like lawyers instead of common sense. And you can make the argument why they do and make the decisions they do. I think everything is debatable, and I do respect the decisions they make because they got to satisfy 32 rich owners But at the end of the day, is it good for the game? And I think a lot of times the league, the National Hockey League, just doesn't use common sense. Let's see here. Randolph Redbeard. I love the aggression, but I hate to say it. Some of the players can't fight. Well, you see, that's the problem. Okay, some of these players can't fight, and I think a lot of times when they do fight, they fight with anger to actually kill the guy. The goal is not to kill the guy. The goal is to stand your ground, is to prove a point. Some of these shots to the head, it's just, again, you want to make sure that you live another day after you get in a fight. I think some of these guys don't know how to defend themselves. I think some of these guys, again, we can have a whole podcast on this. Matty Ice 30, Office Sam Wu. Yeah, I'm in the office. Yeah, I got my gear with me. Preparing for Vinny Parisi's wedding this Friday in Chicago. I'll be on the plane on Friday morning, so I'll have to do a really early morning woo. Land in O'Hare, hightail it to the hotel. Then from there, go to the venue, set up for cocktail hour. Beer Baron will be at American Whiskey. I think I'm going to put him up in the attic for that day, because Beer Baron, unsupervised, can get a little messy. NY Davy, happy Devils Tuesday to you. I'm going to Instagram Live. Going to look on my computer feed right now on Instagram Live, see if there's anybody tuning in. Love Instagram Live at Let's Get On This Podcast. I see Sean Joyce joining in. Happy Devils Tuesday to you. And so if I could do this, maybe I should do this in the office. I mean, I was kind of embarrassed of the background, to be honest with you. But Michael Hayes says, how's the Chicago weather? I think it was like 6 degrees for Friday, last time I checked. Company Dime Woo. No. Let me tell you something. My boss is freaking cool. And he does some cool stuff. And maybe he'll be part of the podcast soon from behind the scenes. He is a really cool boss. He gets it. He went to one of our events. He fell in love. He's like, Sam, do what you need to do. This is your calling. But yeah, no, he is a really, really cool guy. Let's see here. Merrick explains goalie interference perfectly. If you enter the blue on your own, which he did, then you're in the wrong. I wasn't surprised it was overturned. But I can make the argument he wasn't allowed to leave the crease either. Again, that's where the gray area is. And, but is a goaltender allowed to hold on to your stick? Apparently, you can hold on to anybody's stick, like Miles would, and just rip it out and then go ahead and score a goal with no problems. Especially with these referees. Woo telethon incoming. No. Good idea. Randolph Redbeard. Is your boss hiring? I don't know. How good are you with cybersecurity? Let you know. Let's see here. Nemec stick grab was BS. I think it was goalie interference, to be honest. Alex Russo. Yeah, let me tell you what I saw. Again, I saw it with my own eyes. I saw I think it was Miles Wood that took the stick. Kind of when he realized he took this stick, he tried to play it off like, it was by accident. It was no accident, believe me, because his fingers gripped that stick, and he was surprised that he was able to rip it out. And then he just let it dangle there and then just kind of threw it like, just one of those things. And then once the Columbus Blue Jackets scored, I see Nemitz yelling at the refs, he took my stick, he took my stick. And the ref literally said, and I'm just reading his lips, no, he did not take your stick. No, nor did he. No, he did not throw it. Well, to me, Nemitz didn't say that he threw it. You said he did not throw it. So obviously he took the stick and threw it. But the refs didn't want it. Didn't want to have anything to do with it. Again, terrible officiating, lost control of the game. I would expect better from NHL referees. And in terms of that goal that was called back, again, you go to the replay, all that stuff, okay? But you damn well know that if it happened the other way, where that happened to the Devils, they would have allowed that goal. You damn well know that would happen. Case in point, if you go back, I go back to the chicken tender game, again, it's always a double standard with the inconsistent officiating and the interpretation of the rules and what they call on the ice, which drives me insane. The inconsistency of these NHL referees. Let's see here. Maybe these games are a preparation for what we call playoff hockey. Talk to Tampa and Florida. Yeah, I mean, one thing of a concern that the Devils are just losing players like crazy. Especially on defense. At this point, if you're going to get Quinn Hughes, and maybe better getting him now because how long is Dylan going to be out for? We don't know. Right now, the Devils are doing some charity work today, no practice. So we probably won't get any news till 4:45 p.m. on Wednesday tomorrow when the Devils take on the Dallas Stars, or maybe in practice. I don't know. So right now, Devils 2-game losing streak. We're not going to do it from the pizza bar. We're 1-2 at the pizza bar at home at American Whiskey. I'll find a place to a winning spot. Maybe I'll have to do it outdoors on Wednesday, as we are big stages. We're undefeated at American Whiskey this season. All right, well, I'm gonna get out of here. Just doing the morning woo. It's almost noon Eastern. I got to get those tacos for Tacos Tuesday. Now these Durango Steve, if you're listening, these tacos suck. I'm gonna let everybody know these tacos suck. And also, doing a little bit more research. Not that I have to, but it's still called Taylor Ham. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. What's the record in the attic? They've never lost in the attic, I don't believe, because they've only lost 2 home games. They lost 2 home games in regulation while at the pizza bar by the Brick Oven Pizza. Good question. I think the one loss that they had against Islanders, where were we? I don't think we were in the attic. I think we may have been downstairs, but that was a loss in overtime. But anyway, only Flyer fans can call it pork roll. Totally agree. Totally agree. It was never called pork roll. It was always called Taylor Ham. And then in 1906, George Case probably paid off some lobbyist in Washington, D.C., and they formed what is today called the FDA. And then the first ruling that they had when this new creation was, it's not technically pork, ham, so you can't call it Taylor Ham. It's Taylor Ham, folks. Always has been. Pork roll is actually a government politically correct term. That's what it is. It's always Taylor Ham. Yeah. Durango C says the tacos are awesome, but we'll leave it at that. All right, going to get out of here. Drive safely, everybody, including you, Mrs. Wu. Hands 9-3 on the wheel, or 10-2 if you prefer. No, it's 10-2. or 9-3 and you prefer, and that's that. But oh, by the way, I liked the feistiness and aggressiveness of the New Jersey Devils yesterday. It was nice to see Cotter, downtown Connor Brown, Timo Meyer. I like to see them play that all the time, to be honest, with some emotion, with some pizzazz. It was nice. But you got the Columbus Blue Jackets on December 31st in Columbus. Let's call it the New Year's Eve massacre in Columbus. By the way, you Columbus fans, if you're watching, Ohio State sucks too. Anyway, going to get out of here. The ceremonial sip of the Morning Woo. Saluting you, the Devils fans, that endured that second period that took about an hour to finish. The ceremonial sip. Till next time, this is the Morning Woo. Let's go, Devils.
Morning Woo.